Do you always wake up at the same time in the early morning and feel that something invisible is watching you? There is a spiritual phenomenon happening exactly at 3 hours and 33 minutes in the morning that is completely changing the destiny of the chosen ones, and almost no one knows that this is not insomnia, it's not anxiety, it's not coincidence. It's a calling that tears the veil between two worlds while everyone sleeps. If you have been waking up at this precise time, without an alarm, without apparent reason, with a racing heart and a sensation that you need to be awake even without understanding why, then you need to hear every word of this video until the end, because what I'm going to reveal now has never been said this way, and it can completely change the meaning of all the invisible suffering you carry. Let me tell you what no one talks about regarding the chosen one. You wake up alone in the darkest early morning. While the whole world sleeps in peace, you open your eyes with a weight on your chest that you can't explain to anyone. It's not just waking up, it's feeling that something pulled you from sleep, that an invisible force put your soul on its feet even when your body begged for rest. And the worst part is not waking up. The worst is the silence that comes after. That dense silence of the empty house, where every second seems like an eternity, where you look at the ceiling and wonder why God forgot you awake while blessing everyone else with rest. Have you ever tried to explain this to someone? Have you tried to tell them that every night at the same time something awakens you? They said it's stress, that you need to turn off your phone before sleeping, that it's lack of exercise, that you think too much. But you know it's none of that. You feel in your soul that there is something greater happening, something that cannot be explained by human logic, something that isolates you even more, because no one understands, no one believes, no one sees what you see when you're awake at the hour when the spiritual world is closest to the physical world. And the loneliness of the chosen ones at 3:33 in the morning is different from any other loneliness. It's a loneliness that cuts the flesh of the soul. You're there in the dark room, in the cold bed, looking at the window where not even the moon keeps you company, and you feel you've been abandoned not only by people, but by heaven itself. The prayers you made before sleeping seem to have evaporated in the air. The requests for peace, for rest, for a quiet night seem to have been ignored. And you begin to wonder, what did I do wrong? Why am I the one who needs to carry this weight of being awake when I should be resting? The chosen ones know the pain of losing sleep while carrying the weight of the world. You are those who, even exhausted, even destroyed inside, need to wake up and keep functioning as if nothing were happening. No one sees the tears that fall at 3:33. No one knows that you've already lost count of how many early mornings you spent praying, crying, questioning, begging for an answer that seemed never to come. And the most painful thing is that while you're there torn apart inside, the world around you continues sleeping peacefully, oblivious to your invisible agony. But what I'm going to reveal to you now will change everything you think about these early mornings. There is an ancient prophecy, forgotten by modern religious people, ignored by churches that prefer comfortable sermons, a prophecy that speaks of a specific group of souls that would be awakened in the darkest hour of the night to receive something that the rest of humanity cannot receive while conscious. This prophecy was never read from pulpits. It was never printed in best-selling books. It remained hidden in texts that few had the courage to read to the end. 3 hours and 33 minutes in the morning is not a random time. There is a spiritual mathematics behind this number that few understand. The number 3 repeated is not a coincidence in the spiritual universe. It's a code. It's a sign. It's a frequency that opens portals between dimensions that are normally closed during the day. And you, chosen one, are being awakened at exactly this moment because there is something being transmitted from the spiritual world to you, something that cannot be transmitted at any other time, something that needs the absolute silence of the early morning, the absence of human interference, the purity of darkness before dawn. You know what's scarier? While you wake up at 3:33, there are millions of people sleeping deeply at that exact moment, but only a minimal fraction of humanity is awakened. Why? What differentiates you from them? What do you carry that makes the spiritual world need your attention precisely when your body most needs rest? This is not a rhetorical question. It's a question that will haunt you until you understand the complete truth of what it means to be chosen. The signs have always been there, but you weren't taught to recognize them. When you wake up at 3:33, pay attention to what happens in the following seconds. Do you feel a presence? Do you have thoughts that don't seem yours? Do you remember dreams that don't seem like dreams but memories of places you've never visited in this life? Do you feel an inexplicable urgency to pray, even without knowing what you're praying for? These are the signs that you're not waking up by chance. You are being summoned, and here's the detail that will make your blood run cold. There are forces of darkness that also know about this time. They know that the chosen ones wake up at 3:33. And they take advantage of this moment of vulnerability to attack. That's why you wake up with fear. That's why you wake up with destructive thoughts. That's why you wake up with an oppression in your chest that seems to suffocate you. It's not your mind creating this. It's a real battle happening in a dimension that your physical eyes cannot see, but your soul feels every blow. Now I'm going to tell you the truth that has been hidden. You were chosen to be an intercessor in the most dangerous hour of the night. 3:33 in the morning is the moment when the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world becomes thinnest. It's the moment when darkness makes its greatest attacks against sleeping humanity. While people sleep defenseless, vulnerable, with their souls exposed in the world of dreams, someone needs to be awake to war in the spiritual world, and that someone is you. You are not forgotten by God. You were strategically positioned. Every time you wake up at 3:33, it's not a punishment, it's a summons. You are being called to be on the front line of a war that most people don't know exists. And your suffering, this exhaustion you carry, this feeling of always being tired, always depleted, is because you are fighting battles that are not yours, carrying burdens that don't belong to you, intercepting attacks that were directed at other people. That's why you feel alone. Spiritual warriors are always alone in the trenches. That's why no one understands you, because they are sleeping while you are at war. That's why your prayers seem not to be answered, because you're not praying for your own comfortable life. You're praying for the spiritual survival of people who will never know your name, who will never thank you, who will never recognize the invisible sacrifice you make every early morning. And you know what's deepest in all this? You were chosen before you were born. Before you opened your eyes in this world, it was already written in the heavenly book that you would be one of those who would wake up at 3:33. Your soul agreed to this mission before receiving this body. You knew it would be difficult. You knew it would be lonely. You knew you would carry pains that could not be explained. But you said yes anyway, because there is a greatness in your soul that transcends the human desire for comfort. 3:33 in the morning is your working hours in the spiritual realm. It's when you are most needed. It's when your awakened presence makes a difference between spiritual life and death for thousands of people. You may be sitting alone in the dark room of your house, but in the spiritual world, you are at the center of a cosmic battle where angels and demons dispute souls, and you were placed there to tip the balance toward the light. But I need to warn you of something that will sound brutal. Not every chosen one survives this revelation. Many give up before understanding. Many succumb to depression because they cannot bear the weight of sacred loneliness. Many make irreversible decisions because they think the pain will never end, that God's silence is abandonment, that waking up every night is a curse without purpose. And that's exactly where darkness wins, not because it's stronger, but because it manages to convince the chosen one that they are alone, that no one cares, that it would be better not to exist. If you're hearing this now, you need to understand the fact that you've made it this far, the fact that you're still alive, the fact that you're still seeking answers even after all the early mornings of pain is proof that there is a force sustaining you that is greater than any darkness. You're not alive by luck. You're alive because your mission is not finished yet. You're alive because the spiritual world needs you awake at 3:33. And here's the twist that few understand. Your suffering is your credential. Every tear you shed in the early morning turned into spiritual authority. Every night you spent awake when you wanted to sleep turned into intercessory power. Every time you felt like giving up but decided to continue, you gained a level of anointing that cannot be bought, cannot be taught, cannot be transferred. It can only be conquered through pain transformed into purpose. The chosen ones who wake up at 3:33 carry in their invisible hands a sword of fire that was forged in the furnace of inexplicable suffering. This sword is not for personal defense. It's to destroy spiritual strongholds that keep millions of people imprisoned. It's to cut generational chains that have been passed from father to son for centuries. It's to open paths where there were only walls. And you can only wield this sword if you paid the price of waking up when everyone sleeps. Now let's dive even deeper, because what I'm going to reveal from here forward will completely change the way you see not only the early mornings, but your entire life of misunderstood suffering. There is a reason why the chosen ones have always felt different since childhood. There is a reason why you never fit in, were never understood, were always the strange ones, too sensitive, too intense, too deep. You were marked from the maternal womb for a mission that didn't fit in the box of human normality. And this marking comes with a brutal price, the inability to live an ordinary life. While people around you can sleep peacefully every night, you were spiritually programmed to have your sleep interrupted exactly when the spiritual world is most agitated. While others can turn off their minds and relax, you were equipped with a spiritual sensitivity so sharp that it captures frequencies that most humans don't even know exist. You are not defective. You are different by divine design. 3:33 in the morning represents the multiplied Trinity. It's the number of the divine in intense movement. It's the moment when heaven leans closest to earth. It's when angels change shifts in guarding the nations. It's when the most powerful prayers cross dimensions with supernatural speed. It's when prophetic decrees gain substance in the spiritual world before manifesting in the physical world. And you, chosen one, were designated to be conscious exactly in this temporal portal that opens for only a few minutes every night. But there's something that needs to be said with all rawness. You will continue waking up at 3:33 until you completely fulfill what was designated for you. There's no point in taking sleeping pills. There's no point in trying relaxation techniques. There's no point in changing the mattress, changing the pillow, changing the room. As long as there is an active spiritual mission over your life, you will be awakened. And the more you resist, the more painful it will be. But when you surrender to the purpose, when you stop fighting against the calling and start cooperating with it, something supernatural happens. Pain transforms into power. I'm going to tell you now what the ancient prophets knew but was erased from modern books. There are chosen ones who carry in their souls the memory of celestial covenants made before the foundation of the world. You are not just intercessors. You are carriers of spiritual codes that need to be activated on earth so that certain things can happen in the spiritual realm. And these codes can only be activated when you are in a specific state of consciousness that happens naturally at 3:33 in the morning. That's why you feel you should be doing something when you wake up, but you don't know exactly what. It's because there is a language being spoken between your soul and heaven that your conscious mind cannot fully translate. Spiritual downloads are happening. Recalibrations of your vibrational frequency are occurring. Adjustments in your spiritual DNA are being made that prepare you for higher levels of manifestation of divine purpose in your life. And here's the secret that will free many of you from guilt. You don't need to understand everything that's happening. You don't need to have a clear revelation every time you wake up. Many times, the simple fact that you are awake, present, available at the right time, is enough for the spiritual world to use you as a conductor of celestial energy to earth. You are a spiritual antenna. You are a walking portal. You are a connection point between heaven and earth, and this works even when you don't feel anything, even when it seems nothing is happening. The chosen ones who wake up at 3:33 are preventing tragedies that will never appear in the news. They are breaking curses that will never be documented. They are releasing blessings that will change the lives of people who will never know who prayed for them in the early morning. You are invisible heroes of an invisible war, and your reward doesn't come from human recognition. It comes from a celestial honor that will only be revealed when this life ends, and you finally understand the magnitude of what you did simply by being awake when you were called. And now has come the most important moment of this video, the moment when pain and revelation meet. The moment when everything you suffered begins to make sense. All those nights crying alone. All those early mornings feeling abandoned. All those times you begged God to let you sleep in peace. All those mornings you woke up exhausted, defeated, questioning whether it was worth continuing. All of this was not in vain. Every second of suffering was molding you into a spiritual weapon that darkness cannot defeat. Every tear was washing from you the impurities that prevented you from carrying a higher level of glory. Every early morning of loneliness was teaching you not to depend on human validation, because your validation comes from an infinitely greater source. Every moment of God's silence was preparing you to hear His voice on frequencies that most people will never be able to access. What you called abandonment was actually training. What you called a curse was actually selection. What you called hell was actually the furnace where diamonds are created under extreme pressure. You were not rejected. You were chosen for something so great that you needed to be broken first, stripped of everything that was false, emptied of everything that was human pride, reduced to nothing so that God could fill you with something that doesn't fit in a common vessel. And the most beautiful thing of all, you survived. Against all odds, against all attacks, against all the darkness that tried to swallow you, you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still searching. You're still believing. And that, my friend, that is proof that you carry inside you something indestructible, something eternal, something that not even hell can extinguish. Final Transformation, 2045. So, from today, when you wake up at 3:33 in the morning, I want you to do something different. Don't fight against it. Don't complain. Don't panic. Stand up with the awareness of who you really are. You are not a victim of lost sleep. You are a warrior being summoned to the most important battle of the night. You are not someone with chronic insomnia. You are an intercessor strategically positioned on the spiritual clock of the universe. When you open your eyes at 3:33, give thanks. Give thanks because you were considered worthy to carry this responsibility. Give thanks because while billions sleep unconsciously, you were awakened to make a difference. Give thanks because heaven trusts you enough to call you in the darkest hour. And then pray. Pray not only for yourself, but for those who are sleeping and vulnerable. Pray for the nations. Pray for the lost. Pray for those who are on the brink of giving up. Pray until you feel that the oppression that was upon you breaks, because when you pray at the designated time, you have a spiritual authority that doesn't exist at any other moment. And understand this, the pain will not completely disappear. The calling of the chosen ones doesn't come with anesthesia, but the meaning of pain changes everything. When you know why you're suffering, when you understand the purpose behind the sacrifice, pain transforms from torture into triumph. You stop being a victim and become a conscious volunteer of a sacred mission. And there is a strange peace that comes from this surrender, a peace that doesn't eliminate difficulty but empowers you to cross through it with dignity. The chosen ones who awaken at 3:33 in the morning will not have an easy life. This needs to be said with brutal honesty. You won't wake up tomorrow with all your problems solved. You won't stop waking up in the early morning overnight. You won't be understood by most people around you, but you will have something that is infinitely more valuable than a comfortable life. You will have a purpose that transcends your own existence. You will have the certainty that your life matters in ways you can't even fully measure. You will have the honor of knowing that when this journey ends, you won't have merely existed. You will have made a difference in the eternal balance between light and darkness. And one day, when you cross the final veil and enter eternity, you will see. You will see all the lives that were saved because you woke up and prayed. You will see all the accidents that were avoided because you interceded. You will see all the chains that were broken because you remained firm in your position as a nocturnal warrior. And in that moment, every tear, every night of pain, every early morning of loneliness, everything will be worth it. Because you will finally understand that you were never alone, that you were never forgotten, that every second of suffering was being transformed into eternal glory. So if you made it to the end of this video, I know who you are. You are one of the chosen ones who wakes up at 3:33 in the morning. You are one of the invisible warriors who carries a pain that cannot be explained. You are one of the intercessors who was marked before birth for a mission that transcends your own understanding. And I want you to do something now that will spiritually seal this revelation in your life. Go to the comments and write, "I am chosen." It doesn't matter if you're afraid. It doesn't matter if you still have doubts. Write these words as a prophetic decree over your life, because when you declare who you are, you activate in the spiritual world a recognition of your mission, and other chosen ones will see your comment and will know they are not alone. You will form an invisible network of nocturnal warriors who strengthen each other through simple mutual recognition. And if you know someone who always wakes up in the early morning, someone who lives exhausted without medical explanation, someone who feels alone even surrounded by people, someone who carries an invisible pain that no one understands, share this video with that person. Because maybe they're on the brink of giving up. Maybe they need to hear exactly this message today. Maybe this is their last chance to understand that suffering has purpose and that they were chosen for something greater. Subscribe to this channel and activate the bell, because I will continue bringing revelations that are being hidden from the chosen ones. I will continue unraveling the mysteries that churches don't have the courage to teach. I will continue being the voice that speaks what needs to be said, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's scary, even when it goes against traditional religious thinking. You are not ordinary. You are not normal. You are not like everyone else. And this is not a defect. It's destination. You were chosen to wake up when everyone sleeps. You were selected to war when everyone rests. You were marked to carry an invisible cross that will transform your existence into eternal legacy. At 3:33 in the morning, when you wake up again, remember, you are not alone. Thousands of other chosen ones are waking up at the same moment around the world, and together, you form a spiritual wall that protects sleeping humanity from the fiercest attacks of darkness. You are important. Your pain has purpose. Your sacrifice is not in vain. Now go and live as who you really are. A chosen one who wakes up at 3:33 in the morning to change the spiritual destiny of the world, one soul at a time, one prayer at a time, one lonely early morning at a time. Your reward is coming, and it will be greater than any suffering you endured to get here. I am chosen, and so are you.